Meltdown presents The Disney Click with Rick and Briers. This podcast is sponsored by Meltdown Comics and Collectibles in Hollywood, California. Find Meltdown on meltcomics.com.
Hey guys, welcome to the Disney Click. I am Rick.
And I am Briers.
And we hope you are going to enjoy this week's show. What do we got this week, Briers?
We have our top 5, which is top 5 live action Disney movies. So any film that's not a cartoon. We did not include Marvel or Star Wars.
Yeah.
But anything else is fair game for the top 5.
I would say it's probably our most wide open category we've ever done because there's a lot to pick from. And I think you'll be surprised at some of our choices. So,
yeah, hope so.
And
we are looking at a list of celebrities who worked in the Disney parks. And this is coming from ranker.com. And yeah, we're just kind of going to some that people might be more familiar with and some that people might never have heard of and had no idea they worked in the park or might not know the person.
I think they're all people who are known in
within
some level, but
older generation. Yeah. Younger kids. There's
not very
definitely
many
a few that younger children will not know.
Right. And I would guess perhaps most of them won't know. I don't know. We're interested to see if most of them are going to even know half the list. I don't know. No, I some of them are some of my favorite actors, comedians out there, period. But we'll see. So with that, why don't we get started with the Disney list?
Let's do it.
And now, the Disney list.
So our top 5 this week is top 5 live action Disney movies, which is now it's Walt Disney Pictures is the name that it became in 1983, but any live action film, non-animated, non-Marvel, non-Star Wars is included or could be eligible to make the list.
Right. For instance, the recently released Bridge of Spies, the Spielberg Tom Hanks film, could be on this list. It's not. We haven't seen it yet at this point, but it feels very un-Disney-like. Yet it could be on this list because it is a Disney produced film or studio film. So,
well, there's a lot of the movies they make those sports films. We've talked about them in the past, such as like Glory Road and The Rookie, and
Miracle
that might not feel Disney-esque, but qualify.
Right. Oh, I have a handful that my list is actually a lot of it is there's an exception or two that feels very un-Disney, but oddly enough, with all the choices that I had, most of mine feel very Disney, if not necessarily Disney branded films. You say, oh yeah, I could see that being Disney. So I don't, I don't know where your list falls, but it was interesting.
Yeah, I was interested just looking through the list and seeing the trajectory that live action has taken within the Disney company, and I feel like they made really strong films. Back in the 60s, 70s, there's some popular films that I knew of. And the 80s, 90s, there were a lot of good films. Maybe I'm biased because that's what I grew up with. And then when animation was kind of falling and was weaker, there were some really great live action movies.
Right. Whereas
now, I feel like there are not as many good ones in the last 10 years.
What I've noticed,
minus the Pirates franchise, is it?
What I've noticed through doing this week's list is that they've really moved into franchisable, so the Marvel universe and Star Wars, and then they also do the live action translations of the Alice in Wonderlands and Cinderellas and Maleficents. It doesn't leave a lot of time for stuff that is kind of original live action.
Yeah.
They've kind of moved away from that a lot.
Maybe it'll show up on our lists. Yeah, they used to have just these standalone, excellent, really high quality films.
Right.
And I haven't seen any. I mean, yeah,
I'd even point
mine's more than 10 years. Nothing is on my list from recent stuff.
I'd even point to something like The Santa Claus, which is a Disney. But that's something you don't see them. I'm trying to rack my brain. I don't see them making something like The Santa Claus very much anymore.
They've
reduced
They're
their slate.
focused
They're
on
focused.
things, yeah. And their animation has improved,
yeah.
I think, tenfold.
But there's definitely a place for Disney to have the live action way
Yeah.
and not have it just be Marvel or Star Wars, which I love and are my favorite things. And maybe I'm part of the problem because that's what I know I'm going to go see in the theater. Where the other stuff, it depends on the subject matter if it looks good to me. But I'd like to see some other things outside of that, but not at the sacrificing of the superhero films or the Star Wars films.
Well, it goes with there's a big ebb and flow in the industry that people talk about how superhero movies, that's kind of all they're making, or they're not willing to take risks anymore in filmmaking. And so it's either like an independent, like Sundance kind of film is going to be made, or it's going to be one of these, flagship big things.
I don't know if this is still true, but really recently they say you either need to do a film that's 35 million or less, or a film that's 100 plus million. There's no in between. There's
it's showing with the Disney movies as well.
And there's no room for like adult fare that is budgeted 65 million now. They just don't make their money unless you have a rarity within that. So I get it.
It's a bummer because I don't know. I've had a lot of these.
It's business.
I forgot how many movies I loved that Disney made.
Yeah, right.
I even had some honorable mentions that might come up.
As did I, but we'll wait till
we'll
the end
see.
because we don't.
We don't know each other's
right.
lists.
Once again, we do not talk about this ahead of time, so it's kind of fun for us to see what we picked and how much crossover. Do you think we're gonna have any crossover on this list?
Maybe one.
Okay.
I don't.
I'm predicting one. I'm predicting one as well. And I definitely think that if we don't have the crossover on the actual list,
we definitely would.
The honorable mention will cross over into the one on the top.
I'm
5.
interested to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I go first on this one?
Yes, please go for it.
Okay. The first one I am choosing is 1990's Pretty Woman, directed by Gary Marshall, Julia Roberts, Richard Gere. It kind of struck me as odd that I'm picking Pretty Woman. It wasn't critically; it was kind of mixed reviews, but Julia Roberts got an Oscar nomination. It was a massive runaway hit. Its budget was only $14 million, and it went on to make $463 million worldwide. This film surprisingly has really stuck with me, and I think it's stuck culturally with us. The hooker with a heart of gold. It's a fairy tale story. There's some funny kind of scenes and lines. The Beverly Hills when Julia Roberts goes in and says, "Remember when you refuse me service? Big mistake, right?" There's
huge.
I think it's just woven into it. And I looking back, it's a really fun movie that it's light. It's not like heavy, but it really works. And I as I said, I'm kind of surprised that this is like my number 5 on this list. There's a lot of movies to pick from. I struggled with this one and another one that I'm not gonna, because we said we do our honorable mentions afterwards. But this is a movie that I've gone back to over the years and rewatched several times, and that says that I'm getting some sort of enjoyment out of it, and it deserves a place on my list.
I didn't know that was under the Disney banner. I guess it was
Touchstone.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So it counts. I thought these things are. I cleared with Briers before this. Said we're doing anything and everything that I didn't want to be accused of cheating. So I don't think I cheated on this list.
No.
At all.
So Touchstone is a partner of Disney.
No, it was a part of Disney's feature producing arm in the 90s and maybe even the 2000s. They were around. I don't know. They're gone now. You don't see them anymore.
It's non-existent now.
It certainly, I haven't seen them make a movie, although something is scratching the back of my brain saying, "Oh, we did a Touchstone not too long ago," but I can't think of what it is. But it was part of the
film?
Disney. A film, yeah. But I could be wrong. I don't. Maybe it wasn't that recent. But anyway, Pretty Woman is there, and I had forgotten that it was a Disney related film. When I was going across the list, I'm like, "Oh, Pretty Woman, how about that?" So that's
and
mine.
I don't think of it as Disney, but I mean, it is at its core a retelling of Cinderella.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You can look at it that way.
At its core, it's a little bit.
Gotta peel back some layers.
It is amazing how you're talking about a prostitute who is, making into a fairy tale. It's a little risque in right?
Yes,
in a lot of ways if you think about it.
It was originally supposed to be a super lighthearted comedy.
Well, kind of is that.
Or was it supposed to be more of a drama?
I think it was supposed to be more of a
completely different genre feel.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be more of a drama.
They made it more comedic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was supposed to be like heavy, dark, and then Gary Marshall swooped in.
Right.
Gary Marshall of The Princess Diaries.
Yes.
Another classic Disney film. Yeah. So
that was.
that's an interesting.
I thought for a second you were going to say the Princess Bride. Yeah, that's the one that the biggest surprise on my list for me is that I actually, because I could see myself as I was a teenager when it came out and kind of being like oh chick flick or whatever, but it's really charming and it's stuck with me.
Great cast, great supporting, and
Jason
he uses
Jason
the same
Alexander's
people.
in it.
Oh yes,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He recycles those same actors. Maybe recycles is the wrong word, but they're in Princess Diaries and his other movies.
Runaway Bride.
Yeah, it's the same cast, which is really sweet. Love Runaway Bride too. That's a great
I don't
one.
love that one personally, but
love that one. See, I saw that in theaters.
You didn't see Pretty Woman in theaters?
No, I don't think I was born yet. What year was it?
1990.
I was not sitting up. I was an infant.
But you were born.
I was born.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you have seen. All right, you're number 5.
People can age me now. Great.
You're number 5.
My number 5 from 1989, I did not see this in theaters, is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
That was one that I considered.
So it's an honorable mention.
I have a lot of honorable mention, but yeah, that was one.
Starring the fabulous evaporating who left the business, Rick Moranis.
A really sweet story why he left the business. You know why he left the business?
To raise his kids.
Yeah,
Did his wife
passed
die?
away.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
So sweet.
Yep.
And so it's funny because Hollywood I've read multiple articles about that story because I think Hollywood is so shocked by someone with such a pure heart that would just be like, I'm going to turn down the money. I'm fine living a modest life with the money I've made. That Hollywood is genuinely like, we don't understand. We have to do another story.
I'm sure
on
he did okay.
This doesn't
but
make sense.
Doesn't make it any less admirable.
We don't understand. Like they're just so confused by it. I think that's funny.
Yeah.
But I think one of the reasons I connect with this movie, it is just a great movie. And as a kid watching it and seeing these kids shrink and then live in this world in the backyard in the grass and with all the bugs are suddenly huge to them, your imagination just kind of is, enraptured and just you have so many ideas and you're like, this is crazy. What if this happened? Would it be cool but scary? But I also this is the first movie, particularly non-animated, that I can remember experiencing in the Disney parks. Hollywood Studios had the Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, and it was at Disneyland in California Adventure until recently Frozen.
Was it
Thank
when
you.
it was California Adventure?
I guess, and then then the Muppets replaced it. I think it was in California.
I thought it was in Disneyland, the Tomorrowland Theater.
Oh, where
I could be wrong because
where Captain EO is now.
I think
actually
that's where it was.
Probably where it was.
Okay.
I wasn't out here yet when it was in the theater. But yeah, so seeing that show, and then there was also the park you could play in. I have a picture with my family in the park where the Cheerios are life size, and you could climb around. It was just like a play park for kids.
We've got to get that picture up on Instagram.
Okay, yeah, I'll send it to
Twitter.
you.
Okay,
it's with my mom, and I'm acting scared. I'm not scared. I'm at Disneyland or Disney World in like a pretend giant grass, but I'm literally like, oh, I'm so scared. I'm terrified and like pretending I can read my own emotions, I'm faking. It's not real.
You weren't scared of the giant styrofoam Cheerio
the plastic
in front of you?
grass.
Okay.
No.
Just checking.
But so, yeah, I just remember vividly that was the first time that a movie came to life in the parks, and to experience it that way, it suddenly, then you'd go back home and watch the movie and it was all intertwined. And that's the magic of Disney making money with kids, because they get the kids seeing these movies, then they go to the park and they're sucked in, and it's a brilliant cycle on the part of the Disney Imagineers.
So the movie that's a good that movie sticks in my brain. It's not one that I've gone back and watched a lot, but it was so kind of, I don't want to say revolutionary, but it worked so well in how they did it. And it felt very Disney, but it wasn't an animated film. It just it feels right for this list. And
with the dog walking on the dog's nose,
right? Yeah. So
it clearly too was a hit because they had Honey, I Blew Up the Kid.
Yep.
And Honey, which was not so cheesy and weird.
Both the sequels are not very good.
Yes. Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves is kind of funny and charming in parts. Where
Really?
the parents shrink themselves.
There was another movie way back when. I think it was like The Incredible Shrinking Woman, or I can't remember what it was. I remember, and this was might have been the early 80s. Perhaps I used to love that movie so much that I can't remember the title of it right now. But that
was it black and white?
No, it wasn't black and white. There was
I was looking at
there
some
was like
behind
a
the scenes
Betsy
of this movie.
There was like a Betsy Wetsy doll or something in the movie, I believe, where this doll peed on this person who's shrinking. Gosh, I wish I
the
could remember.
doll or the dog?
No, it was the doll in this other movie.
The
That
doll.
remind the doll.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was one of those dolls that like wets themselves. You
yeah,
have to change the
yeah.
diaper.
No, the joke was that the doll pees over this shrinking woman. I just wish I can't remember.
what you remember.
I feel like it's the incredible.
I love what's stuck in your
the
mind.
incredible shrinking woman. I feel when I saw it was a tiny, small kid when I saw it, but it was I just bathroom humor appeals to a 4-year-old or a 5 or whatever. It was at the
absolutely.
Time. So, okay, so
Your
my
number 4.
Number 4, a classic, one that I really think revolutionized live action, how we shoot it with animation together, is Who Framed Roger Rabbit, 1988, directed by Robert Zemeckis, Mr. Forrest Gump, and 50 million other things. The released by Touchstone. It was the first time Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny were in a film together. Granted, it was fairly briefly. And I love the interplay between Roger Rabbit and Bob Hoskins. Really, really just creative. I went back and watched it not too long ago with my daughter. And
did she like it?
She did like it, but it's very risque. There's guns, there's cigar smoking, Jessica Rabbit, obviously. A lot
Even
of
the first scene, isn't the baby like talking? I just remember the first scene. There's some character that's just ranting and just terrible.
Baby Huey, is it Baby Huey? Not Baby Huey.
And he's like throwing obscenities around, or he's just like a really.
He's saying, I think there's
like
words that
bitter baby, and it's just
he munches on a cigar too.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Just things I think you probably wouldn't see in today's a little bit more PC world of movies and that sort of thing. But the movie is
kind
so
of fun though that way.
I mean, it's really cool and it's so original and what they do. And I will say there's little parts here and there that might be a touch dated, but it is so neat to see what they do. It's so colorful. They create this world. Christopher Lloyd as the judge is really kind of menacing and freaky. At the end he reveals himself. And the dip is a really that's where the cartoons get erased, right? I mean, just a big dip machine. He's going to erase all
terrifying.
of Toontown. So
they'll put those big leather gloves on to dip them in.
And they dip the boot, the poor little boot.
Yeah.
It's
I haven't seen this movie in so long, but I'm remembering it very vividly.
It might still be on Netflix. I'm not sure, but that's where I watched it with my daughter. And it's really just it just took me back and how impactful it was. A really good movie. Got a ton of, I mean, it did very well. Obviously, it was, I think, 329 million worldwide back then in 1988 is a lot of money for a film such as that. So that is deserving of my number 4 place as just a very good movie. And
I remember vividly watching it on VHS with my brothers, and feeling like it was kind of like an adult film in some ways, and that we were like pushing the envelope by getting to watch it.
Right.
Yeah, just such an interesting and so different.
Yeah.
To be like, wait, there's cartoons, but they're all merged, and he has a relationship with Jessica Rabbit, or he likes her, and
it's
there's
frantic.
like crossover. Yeah,
the tone is so frantic. I keep on going back to there's a lot going on, and I think it really has there's a lot to see on different viewings for it. There's a lot of throwaway lines and a lot of visual stuff going on, and I can't say I feel that way about a lot of films. And this one in particular I really recommend, if you haven't, it's been a while since you've seen it, go back and check it out. Not only to see visually how stunning it is,
it stands up,
but
which
also
is great.
Right, but also kind of compare to what we're getting today for, I think it was a PG film, what they can get away with in this film, and what I don't think they would get away with in today's. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like this film might have been a PG-13.
Definitely clamped down on what PG is.
They could have done this, but it would have been PG-13. So that's my number 4. Your number 4. Thank you.
You're welcome. My number 4 is, I just love this movie so much, Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey, 1993.
Is that a dog movie?
Yes.
Okay.
2 dogs and a cat. The cat voiced by Sally Field.
This is so
Michael J. Fox. Oh my gosh, it's so. I was my most vivid memory with this film. Talking about, we were talking earlier how we're not big on rewatching movies. Neither Rick nor I. I'm just not. I'm very much like one time, and then I might see it years later. But
there's
I can't
too much
just
to see.
rewatch.
There's too much to see for me to go back and rewatch most movies.
Absolutely, there's
not all, but
too
most.
much out there.
Yeah.
And I was been the same way since I was little. I just couldn't. Some kids could sit and rewatch and rewatch. This was one movie. I was in kindergarten. I was homesick with some like flu or something really bad. I was home for days, and I watched this movie on repeat like 6 times back to. And the weird thing is, my mom let me, and she usually would be like, "Let's turn it off." But I was so sick and so delirious. She was just like, "Okay," and we'd just rewind it. Our friends had lent it to us, and she eventually had to go out and buy us a copy because I was just like on loop with this thing. I was obsessed with it. But it is such a good movie. If your kids haven't seen it, Rick,
They have not seen it.
maybe I can watch it with them.
Okay.
I won't make you
That's
sit through
one
it.
you can watch with them.
So the animals, they don't, I love that they don't make the dogs and cat move their mouth. There's not like that cheesy factor. And it's just the animals narrating their thoughts, and it works. Like eventually you just are like, oh, that's the cat and what she's thinking. And it's these animals that they think, even though the owners have left them with this woman to watch them, they think that they were abandoned and they run away to try to find their family. And it's so funny and charming. And I love dogs.
The closest dog movie they got on my list was Turner and Hooch, the Tom Hanks.
Okay.
I don't know that it was the best movie in the world, but I think the name Turner and Hooch is such a funny name to me.
The dog
and
takes the bullet for him.
Right? And he slobbers all the time, right? It just so anyway.
This was an honorable mention of yours, or
I don't know that I would even call it an honorable mention, but it's one that I thought of. It made the shorter long list of things that I remember this. I kind of like this movie, but I couldn't put it in anywhere near the top 5.
Yeah, well, so Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey, and it was obviously enough of a success. They did a sequel in San Francisco. I remember like racing to see that, and I was a little disappointed because they brought in like street dogs, and they were like street gangs, and I was like, "This is cheesy."
It always goes to the street tough dogs, doesn't it?
The sequels
you
back
always
then.
go there. Those street
that's
tough dogs,
so unoriginal,
right?
Yeah, like
hey, you come over here
maybe
and
the
sniff
homeless
this hydrant.
dogs aren't uneducated. Maybe they're homeless by choice.
Right.
The dogs.
Right.
I don't know.
They hit
or
the
ownerless.
They hit the dog biscuits a little too hard. And
Yeah.
that's why they're. Yeah, I don't know. We should help those dogs.
But yeah, so excellent film. Love it. And I recommend it to everyone out there, young and old.
Okay.
And if you're a dog lover, there's a cat in it too. We'll
Yeah.
let that slide.
I've seen bits and pieces. I can't really comment that I love it. But to be fair, I didn't see it in the theater. And when I was watching it at home at some point, it was not something that I was like rapt with attention.
Yes,
so
I was very young when it came out.
Okay.
Kindergarten had me,
Gotcha. Number 3 for me, my most recent film on my list, 2011, The Muppets, on my list. I have a love affair with the Muppets. Childhood wise, I don't know if I've talked about it too much on this show, but grew up watching The Muppet Show. The song is stuck in my head. When that new version from OK Go came on I love that video. I watched the video on my own way more times than I probably should have, and showed my kids the video quite a bit. But the Muppets was something I was really anticipating, growing up and loving the Muppets and wanting to share it with my kids so much. I wanted to be good. And I'm the first to be able to say, all right, nostalgia, I like it, but it's not great. But I really think they nailed the first Muppet movie, the Muppets, the 2011 Muppets with Jason Segel.
Amy Adams.
Amy Adams, who's wonderful, and directed by James Bobbin. And the songs are great. The jokes are the right tone of what the Muppets are. Some people with the new Muppet Show, The Muppets on ABC, some people are a little bit, put off by the fact that we're seeing kind of adult Muppets in their everyday life. It's a conversation for another day, but I have thoughts on that.
Have you been watching it?
I have been watching it. And I don't want to get into too much now. I like it, but there are things that are a little bit like scratching my head on. But this show to me, or this movie, really comes through what I wanted to see for the Muppets. I felt like I was enjoying myself as much, if not more, than my kids were when we saw it. I can watch it. I've seen it several times, and I don't do that very often. Songs, as I said, Jason Segel, Amy Adams are really wonderful in it, and it's really it hit the mark for me. It was just I came out of it as excited about it as I was going into it, and that doesn't happen often enough. When I have such anticipation for something, and then for me to really like love something as much as I was hoping to, just it barely happens anymore. So that number 3. I thought about putting it even higher on my list. So that's
Wow.
fine. Did you enjoy the Muppets or?
Don't chew my head off. I am not a big Muppet fan. I know you're like just another reason to not like Briers. You look so let down, but then like you expected it. Yeah, I'm not a big Muppet fan, and I didn't see the film. Sorry,
You've never seen the Muppets?
the 2011
Muppets?
film. No,
Oh my gosh.
I don't. That the humor doesn't work for me.
Ah,
I'm so sorry.
I don't even want to continue this podcast
Oh my
right now.
gosh! Whoa,
This is worse than your hate for the Tiki Room, I think.
Oh wow! Yeah, I'm sorry. I
How can you
do
at least
enjoy
tolerate the Muppets.
the I know the Muppets show in Hollywood Studios. I always liked going to as a child. I think more because I was so excited to be at Disney World and I remembered it and I associated it like with the parks. But
you kind of grew up in the window where there wasn't a lot of Muppet stuff going on.
But I take that back. The one movie we love as a family and I love is and I think it's the best version of A Christmas Carol, The Muppet Christmas Carol. Right. I think that's the best Muppet film. I think there's nothing that I like more than that.
I would like you to go. Like
we had Muppet Treasure Island. Was that one?
Yeah, that was one.
And that one, I was like, I don't need to watch this.
I'd love for you. Look, if you don't like the Muppets, I can't say you're gonna love the 2011 Muppets. But I'd love for you to go back and check out, on a good piece of screening equipment to watch it, and tell me if you're not at least mildly charmed by it.
Okay,
that's what I would hope for you, that you could at least kind of push aside the idea that you don't really connect with the Muppets. Or
yeah, it's not
much.
a dislike. It's not at all like, oh gosh, the Muppets, I don't like them. It's just I've just never been like smitten.
I wouldn't recommend the Muppets Most Wanted. I thought that was just mediocre, the follow up to it. But, but if you have a chance, go check it out.
No, it never worked for something. Didn't. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I don't know.
I apologize.
We'll slink on to Briers number.
This is my number 3.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
I'm depressed now.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
Tears.
Yeah. My number 3 is one that I've spoken about before on the podcast. I'm very passionate about this movie and all the performances in it. So it had to be on my live action list, and that is 2000's Remember the Titans. It could have been my number 1, honestly. I think if I hadn't spoken about it before, I would have made it number 1. It's just a great movie. It's one of those movies too, honestly. If it's on TV and I'm in the room where I'll just stop life and just watch it. It's so good. It's so moving. I love the message behind it. And it tells, a real story about, the race relations happening at this high school, and I think Denzel Washington is top notch in it, and I think it's a movie that that kids should definitely have to watch when they're old enough to understand the themes and what's happening.
Right. Yeah, it's good choice. We did talk about it previously, and I think it is a very good film, and a film that, had you taken the Disney label off it, we have said that it could have been up there easily for like top 10 movies that year. I think when you see the Disney on the label, it automatically goes into, it's going to be slight entertainment and not worthy of praise as much, and
or like watered down.
Yeah, perhaps I'm being unfair.
They didn't do that.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
It's a very good film, and
I remember seeing it in theaters too vividly, getting chills. So good.
It's a long time since I've seen it, but I really enjoyed it. So I'm not gonna.
I love it. And I can remember quote lines from it. I'm very
What year? When did it come out?
2000.
2000. Okay, more recent than I would even think in my head, but it makes sense.
I think it hit too. I'm thinking of like what age I was then, and it was like I was like primed for it. So
okay,
yeah,
good one.
Your
nice.
number.
My
2.
number 2, the most un-Disney of my list. I don't think people think of this at all as a Disney, and I get it, but it's a Hollywood picture presentation. It introduced us to M. Night Shyamalan, and that would be The Sixth Sense.
Oh, I don't think of that as Disney
absolutely,
at all.
It is, but it was put out by Disney. Hollywood Pictures is Disney arm, production arm, and so this film blew me away. This film, look, you can argue that M. Night has not done great things, although I really enjoy Unbreakable as well. But
and Signs.
You
don't like Signs?
It's okay.
I love Signs.
Okay, It's okay.
Love it.
It was his last film that was good,
But see, I love The Village too.
Oh God, The Village is terrible.
Okay,
I
please
can't
stop that.
stand The
Okay,
Village.
that's too harsh. I literally just rewatched it
I
fairly
think it's a
recently and
terrible
loved
film.
it.
Terrible,
I love it.
terrible film.
Okay, we are
So,
just
well,
we are hitting head to head today.
I gave you Science is okay. Science is okay. But anyway, this film basically spoiled movies for me for the next several years. I've started to get over it in the sense that
nothing lived up to it.
Not that things lived up to it, but I was always looking for the twist ending. The twist.
Oh.
I didn't go in there. You've seen The Sixth Sense, I
Yes.
assume.
Oh, I love this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from then on out, I'm always looking for. I at least for several years afterwards, I'm always looking for that little thing that's twisting me. That's the twist that's coming, and I think he did it so brilliantly, and I wasn't expecting anything. This was in 1999. That it just nobody could do it as well as he did in The Sixth Sense. I thought Bruce Willis is an okay actor. I don't think he's never blown me away in anything before or after this. I thought he was perfect for this role, and Toni Collette. As Haley Joel Osment's mom was amazing.
Oscar nominated for that.
Was amazing,
and he was as well.
Yeah, and he was a M. Night. You're talking about, or
no,
Haley Joel Osment.
Haley Joel Osment was nominated.
So it just complete. I think collectively, everybody is like, "Oh my God, I didn't see that coming," and then you kind of look back and you're like, "Oh my God, how did I not see that?"
Yeah, it's
he
cool
because
you can rewatch it and
right?
you can tell the whole time.
So it's kind of. It just films don't do what he did. Films don't do what this film did. I can't.
He's so
think
young too when he directed it. I remember he was
probably
like
in his 20s, right?
Like early 20s.
Well, the
I think
story-
it was like protege type. It was crazy.
The story is that they wanted to buy the film. There was a huge bidding war for the script, and he sold it to Disney or sold it to Disney on the condition that he was going to direct it. Nobody else was allowed to direct it, and he stuck to his guns. And I really applaud him. It could be really stupid sometimes. You really can shoot yourself in the foot by doing that. And there's people who shouldn't be doing it, but he really did it masterfully. And this film, I mean, you can hear it, I think, in my voice and enthusiasm for this, how much to this day I admire this film. And I think it deserves all the success it had. M. Night Shyamalan he's probably
great movie.
One of my most disappointing filmmakers. I really thought at that point, and even after Unbreakable, he could be the next Steven Spielberg. What J.J. Abrams has kind of become, and he never quite lived up to that. I mean, he just put too many.
It's weird, but I think he had some. I mean, I loved
The Village. I can't. The Village I just don't like The Village. I thought it was a really.
That's an opinion.
Yeah,
I love The Village.
I didn't say you're wrong.
I loved it because it was still that twist, but it was. I don't know.
But they kind of, if I remember correctly, they blatantly lie to you and show on like the tombstone. They say it's this year. So he purposely throws you off by feeding. It's not a subtle feeding you information. They squarely put you in this time frame of where they're supposed to be at the beginning of the film on a tombstone, if I remember correctly. And that to me is, sure, you can do it, but he didn't have to do that in previous films. So when he pulls that, it's such a disappointing ending, and I felt a little bit lied to. And I don't
remember a tombstone in the beginning, but
think,
I loved it. Yeah. So
okay,
we'll have to everyone share your M. Night.
But the Sixth Sense
thoughts,
on tweet us at the Disney Click.
At the Disney Click. Let us know if you have a favorite film. If you've seen, he has one that just came out that The
Visit. It's called The Visit. It's the one where he visits the grandparents.
Yeah, it looked.
I didn't get a chance
crazy
to see it,
scary.
But I heard it's like one of his better things that he's done recently.
Yeah, I'm a big believer. Like you can come back from
for sure.
Yeah, like he still could be. Or maybe not be the next Steven Spielberg, but he can still make the caliber of films he was making before, or that people were loving as much.
Yeah, I don't think he's just because he's done a string of bad films. I'm not ready to throw him in the dumpster or anything like that. But I don't know what he needs, but he's obviously talented.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think there might have been some pressure on him to always kind of deliver.
Oh my gosh,
the twist ending.
So much pressure.
And maybe
poor guy. I can only imagine.
Right, but maybe only have one twist ending in you of that size, or a couple twist endings.
But he still Signs. I think that's a great ending. The water and keep swinging the bat.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, I mean, Signs is okay, as I said, but you lost me at The Village. The Village is where I go south on him. But The Sixth Sense, awesome film. It's on this list. It was a Disney produced film. Big thumbs up. Number 2. I could have put it number 1, but I did not. So you're number 2.
My number 2 is now classic Disney, and it's it's been overshadowed by the franchise, but the first film stands alone and is amazing, and that's Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl, 2003. I remember seeing this in theaters and with a friend, and then like rushing home to tell my parents how amazing it was. And we went back to see it in theaters like the next day or like days later, which we just didn't do because we had, busy lives, and we weren't like, oh, we'll go rewatch it in theaters and spend the money. But it felt so different at the time. The character of Captain Jack Sparrow that Johnny Depp had created now has become, this cliche that you see in like costume shops for Halloween for kids. But at the time was just this anomaly. It was like, who is this guy? And he's so funny consistently throughout the movie. And it had a great story. We forget because it got overshadowed because they took it to weird places, and like the earth was eating itself or whatever was happening. Is there like the ship? Like, I don't know.
At World's End?
The earth was eating
I don't
itself.
mind that the next two movies are just a little bit overblown, but they're still entertaining. I found them just like hogwash. Terrible. Oh yeah, I mean, I don't feel that way, but
too much, and
I agree
you could
with
tell
that.
they didn't have a clear trajectory of where they were going. That they were like, oh, this movie was a massive hit. We need to make a trilogy, and let's just have it become as crazy as it can. Yeah. So
right.
the first one is very solid.
I like the first one, but I've said this before. I didn't get a chance to see it for a good month or so after it came out, so I came in with such high expectations. And while I liked it, I did really like it. It didn't meet the expectations that had been building for a month after its release.
That's great. Yeah, because I feel like it still lives up to. I don't know. Maybe people were telling you it was like the best movie they'd ever seen in their entire lives or something.
The media hyped it up. It was doing very well. Johnny Depp was fantastic.
It is a really great, awesome film. Like so funny, and to see it in theaters was awesome.
I saw it in theater too. So. As I said, this one's on me. I think I was supposed to like it a lot more than I did, and I think I would have liked it had I not had it built up in my mind. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit the Inside Out thing we talked about. We both really enjoyed Inside Out, but I think it was so built up because it had so much stuff going in there that we said, okay, it's really good, but I don't know if I feel the same way that everybody else wants me to feel about this. That's how I felt about the first Pirates of the Caribbean. But not a bad film, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, for sure.
Yeah, I'm like hurt that you didn't like it more. I don't know.
No, not hurt. I liked it. I liked
the
it a
wrong
lot.
word.
That I didn't like. I wasn't blown away by it.
Yeah, because I just think it's amazing. Yeah. And we like the music. I love the music. We'd go around just listening to the soundtrack.
I wish they made more things like Pirates of the Caribbean, like the big epic, yet have a little supernatural spin on it.
It was a risk at the time. It was like, oh, this movie based on a theme park ride. Right. That seems silly.
Yeah, I
about
love that.
pirates. It felt so cheesy, and it's a great story. It's like grounded.
I'm with you. I'm with you on. I just as I said, expectations. My number one.
I have no idea where you're going.
Yeah, you have no idea. I think you could maybe guess this one. My number one has to be Mary Poppins.
Oh, okay.
Mary Poppins has to be number one. It is a classic in every way. It doesn't feel dated to me, frankly. It is Robert Stevenson's the director. I like to mention the directors here. Dick Van Dyke he's so likable. Julie Andrews is so Mary Poppins-ish. I don't know what that means.
Perfect.
The song
in every
practically
way.
Perfect in every way. The songs are wonderful. It's beautifully shot. There's a love of filmmaking that goes into it and translates into the audience. I've seen it. I saw it so many times. I didn't see it on the first release out. I was way older after it came out. But the movie is everything that Disney is and should be: spectacles, heart, special effects, great filmmaking, great performances. It really is, to me, what a Disney film is. And interestingly enough, it's the only one that is, predates the, 89, I said, or 88. Everything else is later than 88. So, I mean, there's so many other films. I won't get into what they are, but Disney has this history of these classic films that, the Bedknobs Broomsticks, the like Escape from Witch Mountain or whatever, that these live action films that we can talk about, but none have ever replicated to me what Mary Poppins is and was at the time. And it's a charming piece of filmmaking that I will love till the day I die. So
Wow,
it's
that's a great.
it definitely has a sentimental meaning
Love
to it.
speech
I
for
saw the
it.
stage play. I saw the
I
music
did
with
see
my
the
daughter.
musical. I liked the musical.
Yeah, it was just wonderful. Everything based around the Disney version of Mary Poppins. Saving Mr. Banks, amazing film. Very much more heartfelt than I thought. Maybe a little bit underrated even. It didn't get
I
nominated for
loved
an Oscar.
Saving
Yeah,
Mr.
like
Banks.
everything having to do with Mary Poppins to me, it just is good. Is good. I can't think of anything that I think is bad. And I might
Do
be
you
biased.
remember how old you were when you first saw it?
Boy,
10 under?
no, much younger than that.
Okay.
I probably was
So- 'cause I-
3 or
you-
4.
Okay.
Maybe 5 even. I don't know.
So it hit like a big
Well,
nostalgia point
I
for
think
you.
music. I think for kids, music translate all ages. I think music, you can be not understand what's going on, but as a 4-year-old, you can like a song. You can hum a song.
Absolutely. I
And,
knew the music to Little Mermaid
Right?
before I'd seen the movie.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think this is very true of Mary Poppins. That I can quickly hum 5-6 songs from this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Step in Time. Whenever the parade in Disneyland does Step in Time, I feel myself bouncing a little bit to it. And in the fireworks, they do Step in
We'll
Time.
have to get that
bounce.
on video.
Yeah, right. So there's just great songs. A Spoonful of Sugar.
I guess I just asked when you saw it because
yeah,
I don't know if I ever. I mean, I've seen it, but I was older and it was like one time,
right.
so there was no.
Yeah,
It just didn't cement.
Yeah, no, it came out before
it
I was
really
born.
like cemented for you,
Right.
Yeah.
It came before I was born, but it was always showing in like a dollar theater, or it was always on TV, or what have you. It's an instant classic. It is a classic to me that will always be a classic. I mean, I think some things are, once it's a classic, I guess you're always a classic. But to me, when you think Disney, outside of, if you want to think of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs or Lion King, I think as far as live action, you think Mary Poppins is probably the number one quintessential classic live action Disney film to me.
Yeah,
To me, so-
yeah,
so.
and I would say it's like classic. It's
Right.
known so well. It's
Yeah.
still
Right.
put up on a pedestal for good reason.
So,
yeah.
So I'll end my love
Yeah.
letter to Mary Poppins, and you go to your number one.
Yes, my number one does not. Now I'm like, well, it doesn't have that same. It's a much newer film, and I'm purely going off just feeling nostalgia for it and love for this movie. So this is very Briers just being like, I love this movie. I know some people out there will 100% agree, and some people will be like, it's not the best live action movie, but I stand by it because I love it that much. And that is the remake of The Parent Trap. This is the 1998 remake. Have you seen this movie?
With
Lindsay Lohan.
I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen enough of it to have an opinion on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I
say
don't think
what
it.
that
Look,
is.
I don't think it's not a terrible movie, but I also, it's your list, so you have every right to have your number one. But
I adore this movie.
It's your list.
Like this movie would be in my top 10 movies probably ever. I love this movie.
Wow.
Yes.
Who was the mom in that?
Natasha Richardson, who passed away.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
is
Liam Neeson's
Liam
wife.
Neeson's wife.
Right.
The dad is Dennis Quaid. I can quote the whole cast or give their names. It's a Nancy Meyers film. She directed it, co-wrote it with her husband. She's also co-wrote
I
on
interned at the Meyer Shire company.
Okay.
Yep.
When they were still married?
Yep.
Okay.
They're on the Disney lot, and
Because they did the
3, 4, 5 months. I
the Father of the Bride films,
Yes.
which I adore as well.
The first Father of the Bride was an honorable mention for me. I love Steve Martin
my
and Martin
goodness.
Short. Like, I just think they're great in that movie. Anyway, I don't want to get away from your Parent Trap love.
No, it's fine. So this came out in 1998. So I saw it when I was almost the same age, maybe a year or two younger than the title characters. And I just I saw it, and I'm almost sure I saw it multiple times in theaters, which again was rare. Saw it with friends. I think we just connected because Disney wasn't making a lot of films live action, particularly for young girls, with lead girls that were feisty and interesting and like well-rounded characters. And it's just such a fun intertwining plot. I did watch the remake because my mom made me, and they sing songs in it, and I was like, that are very boring songs. And
Which remake are you talking about?
this
original.
was the remake. Yeah,
The
the original.
Okay. Yeah, you threw me off there with that.
Sorry, I saw the original.
Yeah. You didn't like it as
the
much?
1961 film. No, I did not. I mean,
Dated or?
I liked. I mean, they still had some fun gags, and they did different things. Like it was different how the girls met each other and how they discovered. It was just all very different. But there was like a musical element. Like she randomly went on a picnic with her mom, and they sung the slowest song known to man. And I remember being like, "Make it stop, make it stop." But no, it had fun. It was still fun. I think I just connected with the newer version because it caught up with the time, like the things that the girls were like playing poker with each other, and it just felt like edgier.
Right.
But I've seen it recently, watched it again, and it 100% holds up. It's so funny, and I just love it. It has so much charm, and I can. It's just not in your wheelhouse either, as it's about two 11-year-old girls getting their parents back together. But it's just so romantic at the end when they get to it's from A to Z. I love this movie. It had the soundtrack, would like do songs. Yeah.
Look,
I was in deep with some Parent Trap.
It's your list, and of all the Disney movies out there, I have a hard time thinking that was number one. But that's why they make chocolate and vanilla, right? That's what you like. So
because chocolate's better.
I'm a vanilla.
Are you really? No way.
Or mint
that
chocolate
could not
chip.
have been planned better. I literally don't like vanilla at all.
Well, vanilla is the most popular flavor.
Is it?
Over chocolate? Yes.
Really?
Yep.
That's a made-up lie that vanilla people tell themselves.
You can look it up.
Vanilla is more popular than chocolate.
Yes, it is. And Mary Poppins is more popular than The Parent Trap. So we know which side of the fence.
No.
The vanilla.
I will give you Mary Poppins
people.
as a more classical film that people will turn to. But if you gave kids both movies to watch today, like 10-year-old girls, they might like The Parent Trap better.
If you're going for the 10-year-old girl segment, that large 10-year-old girl segment versus the everyone else segment, you might be right. But
I don't know, though. I still think Parent Trap could come out.
Parent Trap is more recent. It's not quite as dated as well. Not that Mary Poppins is dated, but it's just it might play a little bit better to modern audiences, kids wise. But I don't know.
Great soundtrack.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Nat King Cole.
We talked about Honor real quick, if I may. A couple things that almost made. I mentioned Saving Mr. Banks. Ed Wood was a Disney. It's a Tim Burton film. It's a fantastic film about the director Ed Wood and Plan 9 from Outer Space and all that stuff. I also would mention that Enchanted. I know it's not a popular, the Amy Adams one. I
don't like Enchanted.
See, I just think I like the songs. I like Amy Adams in it a lot. The movie itself is okay, but I have memories.
Overrated for me.
I have memories of dancing around with my daughter, my younger daughter, back then to the song and having fun with her, and it could be connected to some fun personal memories for me. Those are a couple other ones that I thought about. Do you have a couple honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions are Cool Runnings.
I forgot Tron. Sorry, I forgot Tron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like Tron a lot.
Do you know
Cool Runnings?
Cool Runnings?
The Jamaican bobsled?
Yes.
Of course.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So just awesome movie. It came out on Netflix recently, and I was like, I can watch Cool Runnings again. This is my 90s childhood coming out too. Angels in the Outfield, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Oh my gosh. Oh my God, when they all flap their wings. See, this is I'm hopefully Twitter, if you're out there, Twitterverse, rise up and tell me I'm not crazy by having Angels in the Outfield in my honorable mention. And then I thought this would be on your list, but maybe I was projecting Swiss Family Robinson. It's another one that I think is
I saw once a long time ago.
Excellent film that I think if you play it to any child 10 and under, they're like, I need to live in a treehouse. Like, I'm doing life wrong.
I do miss the treehouse at Disneyland.
Transforms you're like, everything is wrong about my life. Why do I live in a normal house?
The buckets that bring the water up. And it's very cool.
Their life is just like, they're doing everything right. And you're just like, God, this family is the coolest. So that one stands out to me.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Good list. Let's go to the next.
We'll share your own.
I'm sorry.
If you have your own top 5 or even just your opinions on our very passionate feelings of our top 5.
They were surprisingly different, by the way. Yeah,
very different.
At the Disney Click.
Yes. Twitter at the Disney Click. Tweet us at the Disney Click, and you can follow us on Instagram at the Disney Click, and use the hashtag top5 Disney Click to share your own top 5 live action Disney movies.
Yeah, and this is a harder one because you might take a little work on your part to remember exactly what is Disney and what isn't. So
thankfully Wikipedia has a
makes it
nice,
easy.
clear list.
That's right.
That's how I found.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Buckle up for Disney Trivia.
Okay, now we're going to look at a list of celebrities who worked in the Disney parks. And this is coming from Ranker.com. And you can go on Ranker and you look at lists and things you're interested in, or if you find fascinating that someone is, number 5 on a list, you can like that, and maybe they'll start to move up the list if people express enough interest for something.
It's a place for people like us who like lists.
List makers.
Yeah, we're list makers, so it's natural for us to find some good stuff on Ranker.com. So this is from order. They have it ordered from popularity, from highest popularity to lesser popularity. I don't know how to least popular because they're still popular. The first one on this list.
You mean from? They start with most popular, but
Yeah.
we're going to start with
the most popular.
Oh, we're going to start with the most popular.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're going to most popular. Yep. So this is celebrities who worked at the Disney parks. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Okay.
it is. Yeah.
So I've thrown Briers off here.
I like to build up the momentum and the
I understand.
excitement to get to the most exciting.
Well,
but
do you want to start it at?
Either way, you make the call.
All right, let's go to. Hold on, I'm gonna get.
I can lead us out if we're going to start with number 10.
No, we're starting with number 11.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're going to start with number 11.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna start with 11, and Briers will comment on it because she knows more about the Carpenters than I do. She's looking at me like, "How are you doing this to me?" Because the Carpenters are famous music groups, correct? And Richard Carpenter was a Disney piano player on Main Street, oddly enough. So. What songs from the Carpenters do you like, Briers?
Top of the World, which
Uh-huh.
was on the soundtrack for The Parent Trap. No lie.
Right?
They did a cover of it though, and the original version's much better. But I'm not the brothers like kind of meant like the sister was the one that mattered more.
Right. Okay.
It was her vocals mainly. She had a sad story though. She died from anorexia.
Oh.
It's very sad.
Well,
I remember
that is very
watching
sad.
like a Lifetime movie with my mom, and she was like, "That's a true story," and I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Wow.
But yeah, big fan of the Carpenters. But that's interesting. I wonder if he was playing original music. Probably not. Disney was probably telling him what he had to play.
Right. So next one.
Number
is
10.
Number 10, I guess. The last one was number 11, right?
Yes.
Bri-
Now
Briers-
we're in the
Briers-
even numbers.
I gotta say, Briers has a thing about like even
I
certain
think
right
most
numbers.
people do, right?
Is there anything? This isn't this. There's more. There's 20 total, but we're focusing on the top top 11
10.
here. But
Well,
11.
that'll be we'll call that our bonus one.
Okay, fair
bonus
enough. Whatever makes it.
Carpenters.
Briers does
Whatever
like
helps me sleep at night.
orderly things. So we're joking about we can't have 11. It's got to be 10.
I was saying that, and then
Yes, and
Rick was like, "Yeah,
Mason,
caution to
our
the
producer
wind."
Mason and I are kind of like, oh, come on, let's live a little. So now we're on 10. So even it out. 10 plus 1.
I thought of another good Carpenter song,
Oh.
"Solitaire." So good.
How does that go? Sing it for us.
I'm not singing it, but and Solitaire is the only game in town, and something that gets him down. Oh, such a great one. Clay Aiken did a cover of it. Ugh, why do I know that? Because he's from North Carolina. Okay, so number 10, another musician, Kevin Richardson from Backstreet Boys fame. Big Backstreet Boys fan right here. I take Backstreet Boys over NSYNC, by the way. That's a real people.
Rivalry?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah. Real
right.
rivalry for middle school girls in the 90s. And he was in Aladdin and the Ninja Turtles, which I
didn't
remember
realize.
seeing.
I didn't realize they were at Disney World. Is that where they were?
Yeah, I
never
think it was
knew
in
that.
Hollywood Studios.
Okay,
And
never
they
knew that.
did a show and they come into the audience and they'd be like, "Turtle time." Oh, it was great. It was great.
Okay.
And April was there, and I was more focused on April than the Turtles, personally. I
Makes
liked her
sense.
yellow outfit.
I was more
like, oh,
focused on
she's got
April
great
too.
fashion
I'd be more
style.
focused on April 2 now than the Turtles. So.
I still wouldn't, care about the turtles. No attraction to giant turtles.
So should we let's skip number 9 and go right to 8 because we don't want to talk about number 9, do we?
It's up to you.
That-
I'll talk about number 9 because
that's-
I'm passionate about it.
That was a joke. That
I wasn't gonna let land. I can't land
apparently.
here.
Boy, the look I just got. All right, who is number 9, Briers?
Excuse me.
Oh,
excuse me.
she's choking on rage at me. You hear? Okay, you okay?
Yeah, you've caused me to get so upset.
I apologize.
No, 9, I'm upset that he's number 9. I think it's the people on Ranker, not the people, but the
voters of
Yeah, the
Ranker.
voters going on Ranker are not doing things right. And that's John Lasseter. He was a tour guide on Jungle Cruise, which I knew. That's like, it's for some reason, it's a very open fact. Like, I think a lot of people know that.
It seems so right that he would
totally.
be a tour guide.
He fits it.
Right.
But he's, one of the founders of Pixar, and now he runs all of park expansion when it comes to new rides. He's in charge of all of that across the board, on top of still running Pixar and all of Disney Animation. He's COO of Disney Animation. It's amazing. He's awesome. And I don't know how he's number 9, especially when you hear the people that are ahead of him, some of whom you might not know. So
we had this argument that John Lasseter, obviously in our world, is a very big person and very important. But walking down the street, would you recognize John Lasseter over our number 8, who's Taye Diggs?
No,
right?
no, I'll give you that, but keep that same argument in mind as we go down the line,
you're right,
and you will not recognize these people if they had a sign, they had a "Hello, my name is" sticker. You'd still be like, that's not that
right.
person.
I agree with you in the fact of John Lasseter's part.
And current,
in the
very
campaign.
current.
I agree.
Okay.
But this is why we're not everybody, I guess, because John Lasseter would probably be number 3 in my world of this list.
At least.
Okay, so Taye Diggs, he performed at Tokyo Disneyland.
He's the only one on here, I think, that's outside of the U.S.
Really, and he came to fame. At least to a certain level, being in Rent, right? Was he on the original Broadway show Rent? Is that okay?
Yeah, it was a smaller part though. He's not one of the main.
And since then, he
was married to Idina Menzel.
Mm-hmm.
They are divorced. It's very sad. They have one child. He was on Private Practice. He's done a lot of TV work and a lot of like smaller roles in movies. Of being the really hot guy who takes his shirt off. That's just.
But he's also a talented
bluntly.
actor as well.
Very talented. But I will say, in movies, his body of work has been on display.
Okay.
Just trying to keep things light.
Look at you.
I like Taye Diggs, but he's no John Lasseter.
John Lasseter jumps Taye Diggs, according to Briers.
Number 7?
Number 7
is Joanna Kearns. I know you guys are like, oh my God, I love her.
Growing Pains mom.
No one knows who that is. The mom on Growing Pains.
Well, if you say the mom on Growing Pains, they instantly know who she is.
But if I didn't see a visual of her, I have to rack my brain a little.
You're probably right.
It doesn't just pop up like like another celebrity.
And what is she? She was
the Blue Fairy
from Pinocchio, according to Ranker, in the Main Street Electoral Parade, one of my favorite childhood memories. Right? That's pretty cool.
Crazy.
It seems like, I don't know, it's kind of neat. I don't think she's the biggest of big
Growing Pains on ABC? Was that an ABC show?
I think it was.
Or was it NBC?
I think it was ABC.
Okay.
I think.
Keeping it in the family.
But it wasn't owned by Disney when Growing Pains was on.
Oh, so nil point. Okay. So I tried to connect the dots, like the Carpenters, and that was perfect. Meant to be. 1-1-11.
This is number 6. Is that where?
Mm-hmm.
This one is, I know the name, and I know, I'll be like, duh, she was all these things. But Terri Garr is a name I know, but for some reason I've kind of forgotten what she's done in my consciousness.
She stopped doing things too in her older age because she has a very serious. She have MS, I think. She has very serious MS that has her in a wheelchair, and so she hasn't been able to do as much.
She was a dancer at the Disneyland parades, is according to Ranker. So,
but from Mr. Mom, and she was in. Was she in the Money Pit? She was definitely in a movie with Tom Hanks.
Was she?
Played his love interest.
I know it's Lily Tomlin and Dolly Parton. She wasn't in 9 to 5 as well, was she? I could be mixing up.
No, that was
the third?
Jane Fonda.
It was Jane Fonda. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Number 5, Wayne Brady. He was Tigger at Walt Disney World.
Right.
Which I could see him being, but at the same time, you don't see Tigger. So it's like, I could just see him like waving his arms around really crazily. I don't know.
Well, Wayne Brady, whose line is it anyway?
That's all I think of.
It was originally a British show and they brought it to America. But if you watch him on Whose Line Is It Anyway, he is really talented. The guy.
He stands out too, kind of as like the funniest.
Yeah, he just was really good. And I think he's
really funny.
Maybe he's played it soft and family friendly and what have you, but the guy can do whatever he does it so well. And I think maybe I don't know that he gets a bad rap exactly of being too, but he's just, I think he's probably underrated for his talents and abilities. But an
Four,
aside, 4, yep.
is Kevin Costner, another tour guide on the Jungle Cruise.
Seems to be a big launching pad. For
I know.
People, huh?
I'm like, if I'm going to work at Disney and I want to someday have a career like Kevin Costner or John Lasseter.
It is probably the most important role for a cast member to bring the experience together, I think.
It feels more like acting, like you actually are performing up
You're
there.
You're part of the ride.
Yes.
You are a big part of the ride.
Versus like counting how many people get on,
the
Space
Tiki
Mountain.
Room. The Tiki Room, they have a spiel and that sort of thing. But I've heard people are like, welcome to the Tiki Room.
This is my 700th time saying this today.
Whereas they have to really sell it more on the
Those
Jungle
jokes,
Cruise.
though,
They're
are
bad.
doozy.
They're bad.
Yeah, I struggle.
Yeah.
I love the ride itself, but the jokes. So power to John Lasseter and Kevin Costner.
Right. So, and he might be the only. No, he's not the only Oscar winner on this list. John Lasseter aside, acting Oscar. There's one other Oscar winner on this list, but we'll get to that Oscar winner.
Two more. Or no, is he not an Oscar winner?
I don't think the next one come out.
But the next
three
are.
No, I don't think they're
nominated.
The
all
second
nominees.
one, I know number 2 is not, and I'm not sure about Michelle Pfeiffer. Is Michelle Pfeiffer who is our number 3? I know she's probably nominated
Definitely
for
nominated. Definitely nominated.
Fabulous Baker Boys. Was she nominated for? Okay.
Or maybe was she in? No.
I know she played Alice in Wonderland in the Main Street Electrical Parade. That seems to be another hotbed of acting. It doesn't seem like it would be the Main Street Electrical Parade. It's just people with lights dancing around, but they like the lights, I guess. The spotlight eventually come. I don't know.
Well, I guess it's noted too that Disneyland being so close to LA, you're going to attract a lot of actors who are pursuing,
for sure,
an eventual acting career.
But it's
that might up the chances because most of these are Disneyland.
It's almost a little surprising that there's not more.
I know,
right? Than what we're seeing here, because it seems like a natural place to go. It's a good salary for what you do. I don't know if it's
it would be
flexible.
tough, the commute.
Yeah,
especially now with traffic.
Yeah, it'd be harder now.
It was better in like the 70s or whenever these people were
rising
up.
Michelle Pfeiffer was the mid 70s. It says. So number 3 is Michelle Pfeiffer. Number 2, I got to say, my number 2 is, I've talked about him. He is probably one of my idols, comedy god, Steve Martin. Love him. The Jerk is one of my all-time favorite films. His performance is so funny. He is the best. He worked on the Magic Shop on Main Street, which is well documented in his book.
Yeah. He talks about it.
Yes,
Born Standing Up. A lot of passion for working in the parks.
Yeah,
which
I think he has a dream guest for me. Yours would be John Lasseter. I'd love to have John Lasseter, but Steve Martin would be absolutely my favorite guest.
I don't think I have a movie he's in that I don't like. Like I could
think of some of his later ones a little bit.
Just because he's in it, though, I find it more interesting.
I think he isn't appreciated enough for what he does,
and just talented beyond.
He's kind of subtly talented. He's very talented, but I don't think people recognize how hard what he's doing is to do. He wrote the script for The Jerk, and he wrote Shop Girl, the book, and then the movie, and plays the banjo at a level that professionals do a lot. And,
I mean, he's just like one thing after another. Yeah. Just like a genius.
I think this guy is talented
I saw him
and not
once.
appreciated enough. Did you?
I don't get very like, I saw someone, but Steve Martin, when I saw him, I was like, that's Steve Martin.
I was at the Bowfinger premiere many years ago in Universal, and he was there, and I so badly wanted to go up and just say hello and just, and I didn't do it because
he probably gets thanked daily.
He has a card. He has a card supposedly that he carries around. It's saying, this card. Well, something like this card is. But this card is to show. Yes, you met the incredibly amazing Steve Martin. Your life is better for it. Have a nice day. But it comes off as funny, not as obnoxious to me.
Okay.
It's just kind of his nice way of saying, please don't bother me.
Yeah, because
here you go.
He's done so much and connected with so many people that I'm sure.
Yeah.
He constantly gets people saying like. And to that person, it seems it's that once in a lifetime. But to him, it's like
commonplace.
Right. It's so that it's like, I need to have my life back. But and I get that.
He really might be. I mean, I could think of a few, but he is at the top of the list of people who, if I could just have a sit down, and he probably would be bored with what I have to contribute because he knows so much about art and music and so much beyond the comedy
so well-rounded.
that he does. Yeah, but Anyway, we've gone on a tangent on. But
so number one,
magician.
we okay to transition to
Of
number
course,
one?
of course.
Leave Steve.
This is the one. This is the Oscar one, and this is the one we're not.
The
It's
rumor.
not confirmed, right?
Yeah, Robin Williams. And I, prior to Ranker.com, full disclosure, I'd never even heard, going back, whereas like John Lasseter, it's common knowledge, and he talks about it, supposedly was a tour guide on Jungle Cruise. So I had never heard that. It fits with his personality, but I would totally see him going off script, and he'd probably be the best tour
and that
guide.
Would make it great.
Oh yeah,
Kidding me?
leave the script,
I would
ditch
love that.
those jokes,
Yeah.
throw them in the water.
Yeah.
So if anyone knows anything about, has more facts or knowledge as to whether or not Robin Williams worked in the park, we would love to know that. So please tweet us at the Disney Click and let us know.
And he's sorely missed, and it's
and of course his contribution as the voice of the genie will
of course
stand forever.
Makes perfect sense. So that's the list from Ranker.com. There's a bunch of fun lists on Ranker that we will perhaps be highlighting to the weeks to come, and maybe create our own list. And I think that is it.
Yeah.
For this week. Do you have anything else to share with us?
No. Now I just want to go rewatch all these Disney movies.
The Parent Trap.
Just The Parent Trap.
The Muppets.
Just Nancy Meyers movies. I'll put that on the queue.
Okay. All right.
Far back on the queue.
All right.
It's hard. It's hard sometimes because, it's interesting. We do these lists and we have everyone has their own sensibilities, and that comes through. And
You're right.
It's like you can't.
You're right.
Not saying we're like changing personalities, but it's very hard to get people
like
things.
But there are some movies, and I'm not going to put the Muppets in this category, but there are some movies where I look at you and I try not to be too judgy. But if you don't at least like the movie,
we
not
can't
love.
be friends.
Yeah, it's kind of like you don't like this movie. I don't trust your opinion anymore.
Totally. If people haven't read Harry Potter, if they've read it and stopped because they found it boring, we can't really connect.
Right. And I might feel that way about Mary Poppins in the sense that you don't have to love it, but you have to be able to appreciate it. If you don't appreciate it, then I'm a little bit, all right, I'm not sure about
something's
your
up.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with you in the head.
So it's interesting. So, all right, guys, that's our show.
Thank you for listening.
Yes, and we'll be back next week with hopefully a magical episode of the Disney Click.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a wonderful week.
Take care.
The Disney Click is a Meltdown Presents production, produced by Terri Lubaroff and Mason Booker. Audio engineer, the miracle worker, Mason Booker, with your hosts, Rick Lubaroff and Briers Newman. Our theme song, King of the Swingers, is performed by the Swing Ninjas and provided by freemusicarchive.org. Jazzy Frenchie is our break music and can be found on bensound.com. End credit music Dill Pickles is performed by the Heftone Banjo Orchestra and provided by freemusicarchive.org. Don't forget to tweet us at the Disney Click. You can also follow us on Instagram at the Disney Click. Use the hashtag Top5 Disney Click to share your own Top 5.